Okay, game literally ended 3 seconds ago, but I probably could have started recording this about 20 minutes ago, which is how long the 2-minute warning took. Okay. Man, do you guys know the thoughts that were running through my brain? So when I'm watching the game, I do prepare for these videos, so I know what I'm going to talk about, like the points. I write down points on my phone to like know what I want to talk about. And the biggest thing I kept thinking in this game is I was like, man, I am just not having fun. Like, that's such a big point of emphasis with the Steelers. Like, when the Steelers are on defense, that's when I'm having fun. Like, when I'm watching the team we're playing, when I'm watching their offense, I'm having a great time. But the second our offense comes on the field, it's over. So, yeah, 20-10. I don't know, man. It's a broken record at this point. It really is. I think one thing this game did show us is, for all the people out there that are like, oh, Kenny Pickett is a problem. Kenny Pickett's not our franchise quarterback. Do you see? I love Mitchell Trubisky. I think he's a great backup quarterback. I think he's a great mentor for Kenny as well. I like just having him in the building. I think he's a good player. Like, when he was obviously a little spiteful when he got benched last year for Kenny, but ever since then, like, he invited Kenny to his wedding. Like, he didn't want to be traded from the Steelers. He wanted to stay there. So I think he's embraced his role as a mentor and a veteran. So I like having him on the team. He's a veteran. He's been in the league for a minute. Goddamn, does Kenny look 1,000 times better than Mitchell Trubisky does. On the plays where Kenny's throwing deep, he's hitting his receivers. They just may or may not be dropping them. Deontay had a rough game for the, 25 targets my man had. Not actually. I think it was 19. But still. Yeah, Kenny is clearly the best quarterback on this team, and Mitch just proved that. So for the people that are like, Kenny's the problem, we need to reevaluate our quarterback position. No, not at all. Secondly, George Pickens still is and continues to be a god. He only had 4 targets in this game, but of course, one of them went in for a touchdown. Deontay is going to continue to just get targeted massively. If I'm in fantasy football, I'm targeting Deontay Johnson as hard as Kenny Pickett targets him, because it's unreal. It's literally unreal. George Pickens has become a non-factor because last week Deontay was on a snap count. I think he only played 60% of snaps. This week I think Deontay was playing 95% of snaps, except for the couple snaps where he was hurt. And those are the plays where George Pickens was doing things. So literally, when Deontay steps on the field, George is not to be seen, which is not a good thing. We do not need to be – just because we have Deontay now doesn't mean – look at the play George scored on. It was a slant. But, in the red zone, I love that play call. So, wow, Canada, you get one compliment from me. It's going to be the only one for this entire game because we'll get into it. But then for, the rest, whenever Deontay's on the field, we're only using Pickens as a go route. And maybe it's because they want to draw – because in this game, it seemed like the – Jaguars were running a lot of cover 2 man, or just at least cover 2 zone, maybe Tampa 2, because I was seeing the safety split out pretty consistently. And maybe they're just running him on a go route because they want to draw the second safety over and then have fire me with Washington or Calvin Austin up that seam so you have that open. Okay, maybe that's because that's what the Jaguars do, but they do this every single week and it doesn't work. And I said this in week 1, which was 7 fucking weeks ago. Insanity is the process of doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. This is what we do. So, but then whenever Deontay wasn't in, and we were putting George Pickens on much more Deontay-like routes, in routes, slants, digs, drags, that's when he was performing. And the second, I think it's not a coincidence that moving George Pickens out of the 1, it's not just because Deontay's in the field. It's not that. Deontay's not getting targeted just because they see Deontay. Deontay's going to get his because he's that good. They're only scheming up. It's literally like when they're designing the play calls, they go to the wide receiver 1, and then they're like, all right, that's all we need. And I think a great example of this offense play calling, not that it's literally beating a nail over, or what is it? Beating a dead horse. Jesus, watching them makes me brain dead. Sorry. It's beating a dead horse at this point. Jesus, it's beating a dead horse at this point, but. We're in the 2-minute drill. We're down by 10. We're on our 3, right? Surely we'll do a couple deep out routes or maybe even a couple deep posts, and then we'll just run the clock in. No, first play. Yeah, let's run a fucking wide receiver screen and keep the ball inbounds. What are we doing? Okay. Other factors I will talk about, refs fucking sucked ass. It was a little bit better in the second half. Holy shit, that first half was so bad. The roughing the passer call on the Steelers, the not call against Kenny when he got hurt and was out for the entire rest of the game, the pass interference call on James Pierre. Like, do you think it's just a fucking coincidence that, like, the Steelers are one of the least penalized teams in the league? But then when we are penalized, it seems like it's a lot of bullshit. Dan Moore is god-awful. I think it's time to make that. I mean, it was time in week 1 to make the switch. But I know that Mike Tomlin he doesn't like it when someone loses their job because of injury. Like, they get hurt, their replacement comes in, and they play better. I know Mike Tomlin doesn't like that. Okay, he's had 2 weeks. And you guys brought in Broderick like 4 different times. And then Zach pointed this out, co-host of the Mega Casuals podcast every Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. 6:30 p.m. Eastern. No, 7:30 p.m. It's 3:30 my time. 7:30. 6:30. Damn it. Brain dead. But Zach pointed this out. I forgot. Yeah, Broderick. They brought in Broderick and then just ran it to the other side. I don't get it, man. God, this team, we put up 10 points. And this defense and Chris Boswell deserve to go into the Hall of Fame. Both of them. I'm saying the defense and Boz deserve to go to the Hall of Fame. Should Steelers fire Canada? Really? Bleacher Report, are we doing this now? Yeah. He should have been fired 2 years ago. I'm not going to really talk about Canada in this episode too much because I've talked about him in every single episode. I'm trying to make it the Canada show at this point. And also I'm starting to feel bad for the guy. Like back home in Utah, that's where College Game Day was this week, and there were Fire Canada chants. I know it's a Pat McAfee bit at this point, but still. The Steelers are doing a disservice to the man by keeping him employed because I can't imagine how his mental well-being is, putting football aside. But yeah, no, Boswell and this defense deserve to go to the Hall of Fame for carrying this team. In all reality, there was also, I was talking about the refs. There was the horrible fucking neutral zone infraction on the offense going into halftime, which wiped away a field goal. And all momentum we had in that moment. So there's that, which ruined everything. The refs for that moment sucked. But this was a winnable game, and I'm not going to lie. The Jacksonville Jaguars are for real. I think we all kind of know that. And they only had one offensive touchdown, and it was a 52-yard play to Travis Etienne. And, yeah, I'll talk about it. I won't lie. I watched it and saw Joey Porter get beat, and I went, oh, no, Joey. It looked like Joey was anticipating that it was going to be like a curl or a dig route. And it was a wheel, and that bitch went right over his head. At least he didn't give up on the play. He tried to track him down. But, that's the thing. It took that. And then other boneheaded moves like KZ stepping out the 1, which then was really hilarious because then it turned into our best drive of the game, which only ended in 3, which brings us to my other point. When we're in the red zone, man, there was one play call I kind of liked, and that was the fake handoff to Najee and flip to Connor Hayward. It's very Chiefs-esque, and I liked it, but goddamn, did we not sell it at all because the Jags just sniffed it out. This team is also really missing Cam Hayward. I think his return is going to be huge, and holy shit, we need him this week because we're about to play the fucking Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry. And a rookie quarterback who just threw for 4 touchdowns, so that's going to be a really interesting game on Thursday on a short week. And Keanu Benton as well, because it looks like Larry Njoku is going to possibly miss this week because he left with an injury in this game. Oh, Minka. Didn't even talk about the Minka injury. But, hopefully – I know Minka's had some hamstring issues in the past, so hopefully this doesn't hinder him for this week. Not that the Titans really have receiving threats aside from DeAndre Hopkins. So maybe we'll be okay, but it still would be nice to have our team tackle leader next week against the team with one of the best, toughest running backs ever. So there's that. And then just talking about kind of next week a little bit as well. Kenny went from probable to return to out within 30 seconds in this game. It sounds like it's a rib/chest injury. And it's a short week. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know if Kenny plays this week. And if Kenny doesn't play, if you bet, hammer the Titans. Because the game's in Pittsburgh, and the Pittsburgh has a better record than the Titans. So Pittsburgh's probably going to be favored. If I had to guess this line, say Pittsburgh probably 1.5. That's if Kenny's out. If Kenny's in, I'll say 2.5. So Pittsburgh's going to be favored in this game. But if you're a betting man, then bet the Titans, because not only Pittsburgh loves doing a bunch of things, and the biggest one is underperforming against competition. We always do that. One thing I kind of got away from talking about was that the Jags are a real team. This is a really good team. They are for real. We have seen that now. You're not 6-2 and I think 10-2 since last November, something like that, without being a good team. And we held them to one offensive touchdown, man. So this defense is fine. Yeah, the corners, aside from Joey, suck ass. But also, this is one of our best cornered games. Their wide receivers were doing great. Or we're not doing great. Sorry, our corners are doing great on them. Their tight end kind of beat us, and that's fine. I'd rather be beat by one tight end than both receivers every single week. That's what I would rather have. And it just happens to correlate with Levi Wallace not starting. So from this point forward, Joey Porter needs to be the 1. You can make Levi the 2, and then Pat Pete is the slot. I actually really like that. I don't mind that at all, especially if Pittsburgh's not going to make any trades for cornerbacks at the trade market or at the trade deadline, which – my top 3 to go get are 4, because it sounds like Jair Alexander is available, but Pat Surtain, in no order, but Pat Surtain, Jair Alexander, Jalen Smith with the Bears, and J.C. Horn with the Panthers. Those are the guys I would like Pittsburgh to target. I don't think they will, though. So, yeah, but if Kenny's not playing next week, man, 4-4. From 4-2 to 4-4, and then we have a rough stretch after that, too, I'm pretty sure. I talked about the schedule last week. I don't have it off the top of my head. But yeah, it's so frustrating. Like, I have not enjoyed watching. Like, I haven't had fun watching a Steelers game in almost 3 years, man. And this is our 55th straight. 55 5 plus 50, 10 plus 45, 25 plus 30. That's how many games it's been in a row that we haven't had 400 fucking yards. I'm not going to say whose fault it is, because we already know who it is, and I'm sick of saying the same fucking name every single episode that I do this. It's not fun. Like, I got the report from Bleacher Report. Should they fire him? Well, of course they fucking should, but they're not going to, because Pittsburgh Steelers have this idea. It's wild to me that an organization, not a person, an organization, something that's not living, an idea, essentially, can have a fucking ego. And that's what this team has. This team has this ego of, it's almost like, we're so much better than everyone else because we don't fire in the middle of the season. We wouldn't do that to someone. You're doing more harm at this point by keeping the fucking man employed. And you're doing more harm by not starting these. It's like, you know what? People have been hammering Dan Campbell and Arthur Smith for why did you draft these guys? Because they'll be talking down to fans and reporters essentially saying if you know better than me, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, you fucking drafted these guys. Why aren't you playing them in regards to Drake London, or using them in regards to Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs? What the fuck? And then the Steelers and Mike Tomlin are kind of getting a pass here from the rest of the league, not within our organization and our fans. For the rest of the league, they're getting a pass for some reason. But it's the same fucking thing. Why would you trade up to get someone if you're not going to play them? And why would you – I just don't get it. Joey Porter, if he's not the starter next week, then the team genuinely has no intentions to fucking win games. And if Broderick Jones is not the starter next week, then they're just fucking useless. What's the point? You wasted a third-round pick then. That's what you did. Speaking of third-round picks, Nick Herbig's been fucking great. Shout out him. In the limited snaps he's had, he's looking phenomenal. Here's the thing. I've only been talking for 13 minutes, and this is probably one of my shorter recaps if I don't continue to talk after this. Just because I don't want to keep saying the same things I've been saying for 8 weeks at this point. Well, technically 7, because we've only played 7 games. Because I'm sick of saying it, and I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing it, because that's just the reality. I'm going to go watch the press conference now with Mike Tomlin, and I'm going to hear the same fucking thing. He's going to get short. I don't want him fired. Whatever. I'm not going to find a better head coach. That's just the reality situation. But I'm going to fucking hear him talk down to reporters. Or not talk down to reporters, because Mike doesn't do that. But he's going to – there's a sense – yes, confidence and arrogance can be confused for each other. But I think when we lose, it really is arrogance rather than confidence. Or maybe just Mike Tomlin's is frustrated with his organization as well, but he's a bigger man to just not throw them under the bus, which honestly, that might be the reality situation. He might not agree with what's going on, but he's being told by someone above him that he has to do this, which wouldn't surprise me because Mike Tomlin doesn't stay employed for this long. He doesn't have such a good career record and such a good reputation in the NFL with players, coaches, everyone, without being a good man. So I would not be surprised if he's just fucking that meme where it's like a soldier taking the knife in the back for a child. That would not be a surprise to me if in 10 years we found out that Mike Tomlin was taking all the fucking beatings for this team. Yeah, I'm gonna hear him talk about the same thing, which is we need to be better. In this situation, we didn't cut our eyelids off. We did blink. Like, there's gonna be a bunch of Tomlinisms, and then next week we're gonna lose to a worse opponent, and then we're gonna be 4-4, and then it's just gonna be. It's literally just a recipe for 9-8. That's what I'm gonna call this episode. This episode's gonna be called "The Steelers Are on Track for 9-8." It's gonna happen. We're gonna win 9 games. We're gonna miss the playoffs. We're not gonna win a playoff game continually. This is what now? 6 years? No. 2017 was the last time we won a playoff game. I think 6 years. 6 years without winning a playoff game. So we're gonna go 9-8, miss the playoffs, and we're gonna go. Oh, Mike Tomlin doesn't have a losing record, and then we're gonna fucking draft someone with the 15th overall pick, and not play him. I'm so tired. Okay, I'm ending this episode. You guys know how it ends.